The little brat was such a spoil sport, ruining the fun for everyone who was secretly laughing at the emperor's nakedness behind his back. Of course, I was only 6 years old at the time, and my moral compass had not yet evolved to the point where I could understand the extreme importance of the boy's character in the story. Come to think of it, I didn't really understand the boy's role until fairly recently, and with that moment of epiphany came the realization that many adults still don't get what the boy represents in that story. So let's talk about that. First, for those of you who don't know the story, it's about an emperor who was extremely vain, always buying clothes, until two swindlers came to him and promised to make him the most amazing, fine, and divinely magical garment he had ever seen. This garment was so magical that only the wise could see it. So after taking his money for weeks, the swindlers finally announced that the garment was ready. So the king came into the room and couldn't see anything in the swindler's hands, but dared not admit it because that would mean he was not wise. So he put on a brave face, climbed into his invisible garments, and went on a parade through the main streets of his kingdom. Again, nobody could see the clothes. All they could see was their naked emperor, but all were too scared to admit that he was not wearing any clothes because nobody wanted to be accused of being unwise. So they laughed behind his back instead. Until a little boy with nothing to lose shouted, "The king is naked!" And suddenly, everyone felt able to speak the unspeakable. The laughter that ensued was the bitter embarrassment of the emperor, and he, along with all readers, were left with a strong lesson about the dangers of vanity. For me, however, there was another lesson, which was represented by the little boy. You see, as a people, we share a fear that is often more prohibitive, more pathological, more paralytic than the fear of flying, the fear of snakes, or even the fear of death, and that is the fear of feedback. We hate being wrong. We cannot bear other people's negative opinions of our work or our words. It's as if we consider it some sort of curse to be wrong. When people tell us what they don't like about the things we do or say, our first instinct is to defend ourselves, to explain our choices. Our aim is not to understand our critics, but to get our critics to understand us. These days, I'm beginning to understand more and more what utter folly that is. There's a quote that we share around here. It says, "It's not about what we produce, it's about what is consumed." My dear friend, this is true about every single thing we do. It applies to every profession, every product, every word we ever say or write. Whatever we produce has no meaning if it is not consumed. So the opinion that matters the most is the opinion of your consumer. Have you ever caught yourself in an argument on social media because someone has misunderstood your comment? Have you ever caught yourself trying to defend your actions to a client or a customer? Well, here's the truth, and it is simple. If they think you didn't do it right, then you didn't. Because the fact that they didn't enjoy consuming it as well as you expected means you didn't produce it as well as you thought. Now, what if the complainant is in the minority? After all, you can't please everyone, right? Well, think about it this way. Let's assume 90% of your consumers like what you do. What does that mean? Does it mean you can't do better? Have you done your best work? Is this the best you will ever do for the rest of your life? No? Okay, then how do you plan to improve? What new ideas will you get from those who like your old product? It's those who thought it wasn't that great who can tell you how to improve it. So the rule is this: if your words or actions or output were perfect, then everyone would have loved them and everyone would have understood them. If you ever catch yourself having to explain your work to anyone, you must immediately accept that you could have done it better, and that is a good thing. Negative feedback is an opportunity, the key to cracking the code of your improvement. Political parties in Ghana have their captive audience who think they are God's gift to mankind, but to win an election, they have to convince those who don't yet think they are the best. The same applies to you. It doesn't matter how annoying the feedback may be, take it seriously because you need to improve, right? Don't automatically jump into defense mode when someone objects.
General indicts the National Communications Authority for failing to recover fees and charges amounting to 11 million Ghana cedis from some telecommunications companies. We've got details and in business.
Ghana Revenue Authority allays fears about loss of tax revenue from implementation of the African Continental Free Trade Agreement. We've got details on the Joy Business Report.
Also, the Ashanti Region branch of the Ghana Medical Association admits to falling standards in healthcare services in the region following a rise in lawsuits slapped on some health facilities there.
We've had a lot of legal cases. People are not happy because of the services that we've rendered to them, and then they go to court. and then if you are not lucky, they will put judgment debt on the hospital.
Also, newly appointed British Chancellor of the Exchequer and first black man to hold the post, Kwesi Kwarteng, to tackle inflation as he takes office.
Inflation was an issue that was identified at the beginning of last year. Now inflation is hitting double digits, so clearly something's gone wrong.
Details as many hail his historic appointment. These and more here on News at 6 with me, Bernice Abubeidulansa. Thanks for choosing us. Joy News, independent, fearless and credible. The details now. The National Security has launched a full-scale probe into circumstances under which Chinese galamsey kingpin Aisha Huang re-entered Ghana after her deportation in 2018. Investigators will be seeking to determine those who aided her entry. Ashanti Regional Minister Simon Osei-Mensah revealed this to Joy News on Top Story last night. There's more in this News Desk report.
From our officers, it's not the 3 months you're talking about that she came around mid-August and 2nd September.
Spokesperson for the Ghana Immigration Service, Superintendent Michael Amwakwata, explaining how Aisha Huang was intercepted at the country's entry point between mid-August and September of this year. The National Identification Authority said its system flagged her when she attempted to renew her Ghana card for the 3rd time at its offices in the Ashanti region. Head of Public Relations at the NIA, Dr. Abdul Ganeyu, said she was not issued with a card because she did not provide documents to support a change of name.
Then for the 25th of August, when she came to change her name, and as I keep saying, we don't have Aisha Huang in our system. It was Huang Yen who now came to change that name to Juan Arusha.
The Attorney General has already served notice he will initiate prosecution against Ms. Huang in respect of her current alleged offences as well as those of 2017 before a deportation from Ghana in 2018. Ashanti Regional Minister Simon Osei-Mensah tells Joy News Aisha Huang was picked up at her residence at Ahojo, a suburb of Kumasi.
She was in her residence at Ahojo, so she was picked at her residence. The information given to me by the security head.
He further disclosed that national security is treating the matter as a special subject given the circumstances under which the Galamsey Queen snuck into the country.
It's a special one, it borders on national security. At least we should know how she got back into this country and some other aspects like who and who aided her.
Meanwhile, founder of Eco-Conscious Citizens, Aula Sewa Asante, says there are more foreign nationals involved in illegal mining and it's long overdue government cracks the whip.
The government must do something, but it's a bigger picture than this Chinese national. It's not just the Chinese who are breaking the law. It's anybody who wants to do so.
That was a News Desk report. Well, on Tuesday, the Attorney General called for the case docket following an announcement. The office will begin prosecution of Aisha Huang for her past and current offences. We'll be following this and bring you all the updates. Moving on, the Auditor General says some telecommunication companies owe the state more than 11 million cedis. This is for varied activities carried out by the National Communications Authority, NCA. According to the report, weak internal controls within the NCA have made it difficult to recover these amounts. My colleague Joseph Akable joins me in studio with details. Which specific telcos are we talking about here, Joseph?
So Surfline Communications Limited owed the NCA 6.1 million cedis. They have paid just 346,260 cedis, leaving an outstanding balance of 5.8 million cedis. Airtel Tigo owes the NCA 5.7 million cedis. 885,000 cedis has been paid, less than a million cedis. And SOS Global Investments Limited owes the NCA 404,250, and they have not made any payments so far.
My colleague Joseph Akable with details of that report. Now, the Ashanti Region branch of the Ghana Medical Association admits healthcare services in the region have fallen below standard. The admission comes after the Regional Health Director, Dr. Emmanuel Tinkrang, reviewed lawsuits from unsatisfied clients were increasing. The Directorate is worried about the negative impact on this on health facilities. Here is Dr. Emmanuel Tinkrang.
I'm saddened because recently we've had a lot of legal cases. People are not happy because of the services that we've rendered to them, and then they go to court. and then if you are not lucky, they will put judgment debt on the hospital. So I'm going around just bleeding, talking to them to see whether at least we can have attitudinal change and then approach our work differently so that people will be happy to receive our services.
Dr. Emmanuel Tinkrang is head of the Ashanti Regional Health Directorate. Meanwhile, the president of the Ashanti Region's branch of the Ghana Medical Association, Dr. Pakwesi Beidu, has confessed the attitude of some healthcare professionals is a challenge, but says dealing with that needs a holistic approach. He spoke to Joy News.
We in the GMA, or the Ghana Medical Association, we have realized this long time ago, and as I indicated, we've started working on it, and that's why we organize that public lecture. We keep having CPDs, that's the continuous professional development for our members, to let them know of the times we are in and how to deal with patients or clients. That notwithstanding, okay, we have other people and we have other groupings within the health system. And it's good that most of the facilities in the region belongs to the Ghana Health Service. It's also goes on the Regional Health Directorate, and for that matter, Ghana Health Service and the other sister agencies to take up these challenges.
President of the Ashanti Region branch of the Ghana Medical Association, Dr. Pakwesi Beidu there. Now, more residents in areas prone to flooding are now heeding calls to relocate following NADMO's warning several communities risk being submerged as the volume of water spilled from the Bagri Dam increases. That's according to the Upper East Regional Minister Stephen Yakubu. NADMO Director General Nana Ajuman Prempeh, who is in the region to assess the impact of the spillage, expressed concern about the rate of increase of water since the spillways were opened on September 1.
The rate at which the speed and the number of gallons, whatever that is coming, it is not easy. It is not easy. The only thing is that we can pray to the Almighty God that no matter how it happens, we will be able to respond as a nation.
NADMO Director General Nana Ajuman Prempeh there. In the past, many residents living around the basins of the White Volta had been reluctant to relocate to higher ground, but Regional Minister Stephen Yakubu says that is slowly changing. Now, newly appointed British Chancellor of the Exchequer, Kwesi Kwarteng, will be tasked with bringing down inflation as he takes office. Many have hailed the appointment of Kwarteng, who is of Ghanaian descent and the first black man to hold the post. In the past, he had been critical of the Bank of England's control of inflation, as the UK is forecast to suffer an economic downturn lasting more than a year.
The 47-year-old graduate from Eton, Cambridge and Harvard is set to be the first black man to be appointed the British Chancellor of the Exchequer. Kwarteng backed Leave in the EU referendum and was Boris Johnson's business secretary. His role as Chancellor is likely to be dominated by soaring inflation caused by the European energy crisis.
Inflation was an issue that was identified at the beginning of last year. And the job of the bank was to deal with the inflation. They've got a 2% inflation target. That's actually their mandate. And now inflation is hitting double digits. So clearly something's gone wrong. And I think there is an argument to suggest the rate should have probably gone up.
And that's how we end this edition of Joy News at 6 with me, Bernice Abubedu Lansa. Thanks for your company. There's more news when you log on to myjoyonline.com. Our top story, national security opens full-scale investigation into how Chinese Galamsey kingpin Aisha Wan re-entered Ghana after her deportation in 2018. Do stay, the Super Morning Show